back to the Mind and Money podcast. I'm Val, a financial planner.
I am Sherry, a financial coach. And today we are diving into the question, can money buy happiness? Val, if you had to give it no extra words, which is sometimes hard for our brains, if you had to give it a one-word answer, a yes or a no, do you believe money can buy happiness?
Wait, let's go on the count of three.
Go.
1, 2, no.
Yes. Oh,
Interesting.
very interesting. Val, if you were to follow this up with a no, but, or a no, and can you elaborate on your answer a little more?
Yes, I think the question is very blanketed. So no, I don't believe that money can buy happiness, because I do think happiness is like an internally cultured feeling or emotion. I think that a certain level of income required for living can provide security and comfort. Yes. Does that necessarily mean happiness? No, because I've seen so many people that have really healthy incomes, live within their means, but their mindset and it's kind of like more the spiritual side, I guess, their internal soul is not happy. And they've received inheritances and it has not been enough. Like still focusing on the negative pieces. A healthy amount of income or money paired with mindset can do a lot of good things. But just the solution of like, here's money, maybe it buys a short term, oh, this is great. But can it buy happiness? No, I don't think so. Because I think it's more internal work, and it's not just like, you can't just throw that at the problem, I'll say. And often we're chasing things such as like, when I get to this income, maybe I'll feel this way. But it's so much more of an internal job than we want it to be. We want it to be like, well, if I get to this mountaintop, I'll feel this way. I don't need to think about anything else when I get there. But the journey to get there, we're maybe not in that mindset, or we're in a negative space. And we're just like, well, when I get there, things will change. A lot of the times too, I see with clients where whether they were making $50,000 or $100,000, they have the same problems. But the thinking that, well, if I increase my income, my problems will go away. I'll pay this off. I won't have debt. But it's not like that. So Sherry, you go on. Your yes.
And I think we're approaching this a lot from a similar lens. I fully believe that our values and our beliefs are so aligned with this. And it's so hard to give it a black or white yes or no, because I believe the answer lies in the gap between, which is so many shades of gray. Even more than 50 probably. Okay, but it really is in the gray area. And it was really hard for my brain to just like a yes or no answer, a yes or no without a but or an and. And my caveat is that money can buy happiness, but it doesn't always. So I could frame this as a no too, but in my brain, I'm like, I'm going to make this a yes.
I'm glad that we were opposite.
Well, I kind of thought that you were going to give it a yes too. I don't know. I love that we had.
I thought we were both going no.
Well, and here's my thing is that it can. I have seen situations where households are bringing in 5 figures per month, and that I didn't get the happiness vibe from that household because they didn't have systems in place. Go back and watch the last episode 100 if you didn't, but they didn't have a plan. When you come from that foundation, if you build that foundation out of twigs and then you add heavy bricks on top of it, your house is going to fall down. And it's like that with money too. If whatever income level you're at, if you don't have a solid foundation, the plan and the systems, more money is going to cause more problems. Let me see how many things I can sneak into this episode. But if you're making $50,000 a year now and you're really working to manage it well and spending it in alignment with what you believe is important to you, and you have the plan and you have the systems, if you double your income, that's going to give you a lot more potentially time, flexibility, freedom. And the way that I see it too is that money, when actively managed and managed in alignment with what's important to you, can very often buy you time and more time to do the things that are important to you and reduce your overall stress and your workload are really important. So if you're an entrepreneur, maybe more time comes from hiring an admin person or a VA, or having somebody to clean your car or clean your house every couple of weeks or have groceries delivered. There are so many ways that money can add value to your life. But yeah, the asterisk is definitely when you have a plan and those systems, and you also need to know what is important to you. So if you go from that 50,000 to 100,000 or 200,000 income and you don't really understand what's important to you and you don't have clear goals, that can often lead to more stress as well, because you're just like, well, what do I do with it? It feels overwhelming. And if you're an entrepreneur, just doubling your income year over year without that one critical piece of clear plans to save for taxes, that's going to add a whole lot more stress. So money can buy happiness, but money can also add a whole lot of stress. There's a study somewhere. Again, I remember the overarching point of the study, but not the details, is that beyond your basic needs being met. So once you get to the point where your basic needs are being met and like a little extra on top, then money doesn't fundamentally have a huge impact on your quality of life and your happiness, because you've got that foundation. But I'd be curious to see if we took that study a step further and really understood where there were plans and what that looked like and what people were using the additional income to do. I wonder if that would shift things, because yeah.
So it's a bit of the like it's yes, and it needs a plan. And because to your point, you've seen the 5-figure income family where there wasn't the happiness. So that shows us that like no amount of money was going to make them happy until they had a system or had a plan that paired with it. And then if we have that system and we have that plan, we have that foundation built of good bricks, whether we make 50,000 or 100,000, the system remains the same. And yes, then in that case, more money can create the ability to have more time, more freedom, not necessarily more things. We know that the outside things don't necessarily bring us long-term fulfillment and happiness, but those internal pieces, the things that you can't buy, right? You can't buy time.
Well, a little bit. You can. You
can.
You can't like pay $1 million and just say, I was going to live until 65, but now I'm going to add 10 years with $1 million and now I'm going to live to 75. But it could, like, you can buy those chunks of time. And I do think too, there are things that you can do. I get really like, I don't know, philosophical. I don't know if that's the right word, but if you all of a sudden free up 2 hours a week because you're investing in hiring people or services to do things, and then you use that 2 hours to take care of yourself in some way. Maybe that's time with a friend. Maybe that's a date night. Maybe that's exercising, meditating. I do think that could potentially be extending your life because you're taking care of yourself. And I do align with what you said too, is I do believe there are people that regardless of having the plan and those systems, no amount of money is going to have them be happy because they're just negative through and through. So more money could actually have the opposite, doing them like, yeah, I got more money to the government, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it is partnered with that plan, but the same as what you said, that mindset and that outlook and having that positivity be part of you. And hey, I'm going to make more money, and what can I do in a positive way to help me, but also the world with that money?
Absolutely. Right. There's the give, save, spend aspect of where are my dollars going? What's important to me? And that does come back to like values and a plan. And the mindset piece is huge, because if I have the income and I have the plan, but I still feel like I don't have enough, even though the numbers show that emotional side bleeds through. And it doesn't matter how beautiful my plan is and how many times my financial planner says, we're doing great, we're on track. If I don't feel that way, there's a huge disconnect. Like the bridge is not built between the two.
Yep. Yeah. If I was in a debate, I could argue either point really well.
Definitely.
With kind of the same information. It can, but it doesn't always. And I really think, I don't know if
and it doesn't always, but it can.
And I think too, if you look at the richest people in the world, I think how they handle their money speaks to their level of happiness. And I have zero evidence to back this up. But if you look at the people, there's kind of two different people from an earning perspective, right? There are the people that they're earning fistfuls of money every day, every year, and they're hoarding it. And my impression of what I can see of those people is that they're maybe not the happiest people. But then on the flip side, there are people that are making very similar amounts of money, but they are giving back. They're giving it away. They're bringing joy and happiness to other people with that money. Because I think I've said this before, maybe not on the podcast, but if I was ever a billionaire, caveat, I would never be a billionaire because there's a certain income level where you can already do everything. So, and I saw a video around like post tour Taylor Swift, who she gave really large bonuses to everybody on her tour. I think that the drivers that take the set from location to location, I think she gave them each like $100,000 bonus on top of what I'm going to presume is already a pretty decent wage.
Salary.
It's just like, imagine having so much money and you don't do anything like that and you don't get joy from giving back to others. Like, that's a cold, dead heart.
I had this conversation with a client yesterday morning. We met for the first time, and him and his wife are in their 80s. They have a commercial property. They have their home paid off. They have TFSAs that they're not using. The commercial property gives them a really healthy rental income. But ultimately, the sale of that, it's kind of like selling the money printer, but then you get money for the printer. And the question I asked him was, I said, you've already created a really beautiful, like, gift inheritance estate for your daughters. Is there anything that you're not doing because you're trying to build this? And the answer was no. Like, they are very happy with their lifestyle. Because of their ages, they're not looking to go anywhere crazy. But there is that piece of like, those kids also aren't necessarily knocking on the door saying, when are we going to get this? So it's balancing out. And I do this with some of my retirees that are like, well, I want my kids to have this. I want my kids to have this. So it's balancing out that piece and going, that is great. And I love that. But don't give too much that you're missing out in your chapters. Like, it's about spreading the love.
Yeah. And this kind of brings up multiple questions for me. And for me, at the base of it, like, yes, I would love to leave something behind when we go, but also I really appreciate what can we do when we're here today to have a positive impact on our loved ones, those around us, the things that we support and believe in, so that we can see the impact of it. Because it's lovely to leave an inheritance, but the need is often very different too. So, if you've got teenagers, like people that are in their 20s, 30s as children, often those are the years when they're less financially stable and could benefit more. And if you pass and your kids are 40, 50, 60, they're often in a much different place and more financially stable. So then that inheritance isn't impactful. I'm curious though, with people that are in that stage, do you typically see them looking at it from kind of both lenses? Like, and I guess some of it too is the tax perspective of it and how can we minimize tax by giving gifts now versus inheritance.
Right.
Or do you see kind of both extremes, that more people are just like, no, we're going to hold on to this and it's going to be inheritance, because maybe that comes from some of the scarcity mindset too?
Both. It really depends too on the energy and entitlement of the next generation. With this one, I touched on it when one of the daughters was away from the table, because he brought it up. He's like, I would like to give them some now. And I noted that, like, yes, that's absolutely something that I think would be great for you to see it. But then again, we're back to the spectrum. There's the leave it all until I pass away and then they can have it. And maybe it gets bigger, sometimes more confusing. We want to avoid, again, it gets into estate planning and probate tax and minimizing that. And there's the middle of, I'd like to give some, but I need to make sure I'm okay. And he had said, he's like, I would give the funds and say, if I need it, I'm coming back to you. And he trusted that his children would be okay with that. And I would love to trust that as well. But we do not know what our children's situations are often. So we also don't know if a spouse gets involved or they need it and they buy a cottage with it. And now you can't get that back necessarily tomorrow. Yeah. So the other side of the spectrum is, I want to give this all to my kids now. I want to see them enjoy it, but we can't. We need that for you. I've had a retiree where, like, her investments are very important because that's all we have. And she's been like, I was thinking about, taking the growth we had last year and giving it to the kids. And I'm like, we can't, because that's part of our plan. when you do stop working is we accounted for that growth. You
Yep.
can't take that. So there's all very similar topics, but different guidelines put in place for different plans. And what are you spending? Right now they're living off of, say, 10 grand a month. If we take away that money printer of the rental income, we can't give all of that to the kids because our money printer's gone. We need it to start printing us our money.
Yep. Yep. And the money that it's printing versus the money printer also shifts too, because if the value of the real estate goes down, maybe you can sell it for 2 million now, but maybe it's not going to continue to grow. And if you've got some shitty tenants in there that just decide to stop paying, there's a lot of financial impacts there too. So if you sell it now, it's a fixed amount, it's concrete, you know what it is, but then taking that and investing it, that then becomes volatile in another way, depending on where you invest it. And yeah, you said something too about the entitlement. That really kind of hit home. If you have kids and they're just like, "You have this, we're going to inherit it, blah, blah, blah."
Mm-hmm.
If kids asking or loved ones asking for something versus you being the driver and deciding to give it to them has very different energy. And I think a lot of that comes down to my ADHD brain too, is if you tell me to do something, I'm probably going to resist doing it. But if I decide to do something, that's very different. And
that's our brains. But then the parent brain, what I've witnessed is this new guilt that comes into play, right? Like imagine it coming from Haley. And I feel like with our awarenesses, it might be a generational piece too, but like this guilt, like I've had like we'll call them children, but they're in their 40s, say to a client, most amazing woman, say, we really don't like those trees you planted. When you die, we'll be using those for firewood. To her face. And that fuels me to then say, what aren't we doing that we want to be doing? Live, spend, enjoy. You have worked your butt off for this within means. I'm not saying go bet 100,000 at the casino. We can't throw our plan completely, but I would love to see you enjoying life. And that also triggers for me knowing that in the stages where we might need assistance, we need to budget extra because I would never want to rely on those family members because I would never trust the intent and the quality of care, which sounds really mean.
Piece of the puzzle too. As you age, yes, I'm doing as much as I can now to not get to the place where I'm incapacitated, but you never really know.
We can't control that.
Yeah. Would you rather gift money to your kids and have them have to take care of you if you get dementia or something like that? Or would you rather keep your money and let it grow and be able to hire professionals to do that? Like I would choose option B because there are people that
100%.
are professionals at doing that. And when you see what it can do to family, yeah. And again, that comes down to, having money to be able to put yourself or have your kids put you in a good care home. Is that buying happiness? Not necessarily, but it's buying not feeling like a burden. And that has a lot of value to it as well. Ooh. Again, we took a lot of side paths here, but
we did.
Really, money gives you choices. Yeah. And thinking about having the opportunity to choose to help out somebody you care about, whether that's family or whether that's friends or
charity or
going back to those kids that said they were going to cut down my trees. A, if you think that, that's fine, but what value are you getting out of telling me? And B, I need to change my will. Which charity is 7% of my inheritance? Like, you're going to be spiteful. I'm going to be spiteful too.
Yes, absolutely. Like I encourage that healthy spite.
And I'm sure you see the two, ends of the spectrum too, is people that are like, I would really love to leave my kid $1 million. And the other side being, I can't spend it when I'm dead. I might as well spend it now.
Yes. And I have never encouraged, the aspect of like, you should leave your kids something. Because I think anytime, again, that has to be like an internal desire, but I'm always mindful because like you also get I'm not going to make it past 65. I'm not going to live past 70. I won't live that long. I'm like, well, you have to plan for it because if you do, We don't want you to run out of money.
It's better to plan for it and not get there. Not that it's better that you die younger than to, live everything like you're going to die when you're 65 and then you live to be 85 and then you're trying to live off of, in Canada anyways, like CPP and OAS. And that becomes very, very challenging. And if you've got kids, then somehow you're becoming a burden there as well, because there are a lot of things you can choose to do with your money when you have more than you need to cover your expenses. And I think how you choose to manage it and spend it really does connect back to your level of happiness. And that partners with your mindset and your beliefs too. Yeah, there's some people that are going to have millions and billions of dollars and never be happy. And then there's some people that are making just enough to cover their bills and maybe have a little extra, and they're happy and joyful every day. And yes, the money is part of it, but also it's who you are as a person. Yeah.
That's a huge piece.
So I think even though we said opposite answers when
I'm so glad we did
answered the question, can money buy happiness? I think our beliefs are fully overlapping. It's just a slightly different perspective with the yes and, or yes but, or no
like
and.
You were yes and then layers below, and I was no and then building layers up. Like we ended up on the same field. We just started on different sides.
Yeah. And again, it came down to that resistance that I felt too when you have to give a yes or a no, which is, it's challenging because like all things, money, there's so many nuances to it. And you're right, so many layers. And yeah, we ultimately ended up on the same layer. We just started at two very different places.
Yes, we did.
We did. So let us know in the comments, do you believe money buys happiness? Do you align with what Val and I said and you ended up in a similar gray area to us as you listened, or do you have some different views? Because I'd love to hear those as well. And we are glad you've been here. Please like and subscribe so more people could find us and share it with a friend and start the debate with that friend. We can't wait to hear your thoughts, and we can't wait to see you next time on the Mind and Money podcast.